Okay, joining us now, running for the House of Delegates, District 56, Central Virginia, Peter Farrell's departing. Six-way primary, June 13th. So if you're in the 56th district, well, you can vote for governor, lieutenant governor. There's only one candidate for attorney general. Plus, you'll be able to vote for one of these six candidates in the 6th district. Matt Pinsker, first-time candidate, joining us now. Matt, good to have you.
John, thanks for having me. I've been looking forward to being on your show for quite some time now.
Well, I appreciate that. And we had a chance to chat with Mike and his lovely bride at Jim and Roxanne Gilmore's home on Friday night, and we had a good time there. But, Matt, it was the after party. What's the hit of the night? Me, you,
cigars and whiskey.
Aaron,
always a good
and
you with true Republicans, true conservatives.
I know we had
that going on.
Somebody else was there. I can't think of his name. And your wife, darling woman, by the way.
Thank you. She's my best asset by far.
A very
She'd be
nice
a better
lady.
candidate.
And she would be a good candidate. She's very effervescent, and she kind of carrying the dialogue there for half the time. But we had a cigar, and everybody else drinking whiskey. I opted, though, for Tito's vodka. Clean and nice. And that was very good. So not only did we get to hang out with the Jim and Roxanne Gilmore, but then at the after party, we raided his humidor and his liquor cabinet.
He was a very generous host.
I don't think we'll be back anytime soon. It's like the party's over and everybody's out, and Aaron's like...
That's when the real party begins.
I know, and Aaron, not shy, he's like, Governor, can we get a cigar? Sure. So he goes in, opens up his humidor, and then, of course, right there is the liquor cabinet. So he takes out like all his best brands and puts them out. Very good, Aaron. But you got to watch that Aaron, man. If you're going to an after party, Aaron's the guy you want to be with. All right, Matt, let's talk about your race. 6 people in it. Why are you running for House of Delegates here? What's your vision?
Well, there's a lot of reasons, but I just want to remind Virginians, look at what's happened. 3 of our last 4 governors have been Democrats. And look at what they're pushing. Higher taxes, increased regulations. I'm a fiscal conservative and a business owner, and I see how that's directly affecting my bottom line. You also see them pushing this bizarre social agenda to have boys in the girls' locker rooms. The city of Richmond's becoming a sanctuary city, and you now have to go through the government for health care. That doesn't stand right with me. I was born and raised in this district. We know we're good conservatives out here, and that's not what we want in our community. This, agenda that's no longer just Obama, but Bernie Sanders is pushing here in Virginia. So that's something that we need to stand up and fight against and stand for conservative values. Something I've done all my life and something I plan to keep doing for Virginia.
Okay, so let's get to some of the policies. And, when there's 6 people in the race, it's really hard to delineate what's your position different than candidate, 1, 2, 3, 4, or 5. So I'm not going to do that. Instead, let's get to some specific issues that are going to affect you should you win. And again, so that everybody knows, the winner of this primary on June 13th with these 6 candidates in House District 56, Peter Farrell's old district in the Richmond, Virginia area, the winner of this primary is going to go to the House of Delegates. No shade on the Democratic nominee, but they're not going to win. So this is going to determine it. So let's start with Dominion Power. Rate adjustment, Wagner, 2015, negotiating this. People seem to be split on this, Matt. Some are saying, look, it's a good deal, stay with it. Others are saying, no way. There's no clean power plan. That's gone. That was the basis of it. We need to rip this thing up and start over. What say you?
Well, I think that if a company's going to make a promise and get taxpayer dollars that they're going to do something, they should follow through with that. And if they fail to do that, there should be consequences. That being said, I'm not going to be ripping on Dominion Power. I think Virginia has a lot of great natural resources we should take advantage of. And, they provide a lot of jobs, a lot of business interests they give back. So I'm not going to spend my time just ripping, Dominion Power apart. But I will say that any promises that are made should be followed. That's just common sense.
All right, so you would be in favor of sticking with the rate deal that was made?
Again, I need to get more familiar with this particular issue. It's not something I'm too familiar with. I just want to speak generally that there is a promise made. then you stick to it until you can, come to revisit it later.
Okay, so it
Again,
sounds
the last
like what
thing
you're
people
saying,
want is more
Matt, it
broken
sounds like
promises.
what you're saying that right now with the information you have, you would be inclined to stick with the deal because that was a deal that was made.
As a general principle, I think you should stick to your deals. But as far as this particular deal you're referring to, I'm not familiar with this particular issue. So rather than just try to BS this, give an answer to it, I'd rather take the time to look at it, come back with a informed answer.
All right.
I'd say on principle, we should keep promises.
Atlantic Coast Pipeline. Atlantic Coast Pipeline. Part of that is going to go right by your district if indeed it ever gets done. How do you stand on it?
I think the pipeline's great. Bring jobs, bring out more affordable energy. So you see all these, liberals protesting the pipeline deals. But I think they're a great thing. We should welcome them here in Virginia.
Medicaid expansion. We were all against it. I know they were all against it. I was against it. But look, now everybody's going for it. Virginia's going to be the only state. We're going to be the only state out of 50 that has not taken the expansion dollars. The Republicans in Congress and the Senate have already said whatever Obamacare replacement package gets done, it's going to include funding Medicaid expansion. Everybody else is getting the federal dollars. They're going someplace. To me, the thing is over now. You're going to get the money. The Hospitals Association have said they'd fund the 10% difference, so you have absolutely no downside and no risk. Why not just take the money?
Look, I think principles are worth more than money, and if we start folding our principles and getting bought out, we're losing our autonomy. Do we really want to make Virginia have to be even more subservient to the Fed? Do we really want to depend on the Fed for handing us, a dollar to depend on our health care? Generally, I think I'm a big proponent of state rights, and I am very concerned as we get an increasing reliance on the federal government, as we see how well that functions. Look, the healthcare system is clearly broken, but I don't think more government's the answer. I like to see a return to free market principles in the healthcare industry. It's one of the few industries in America where the free market just does not exist. You cannot call up a medical facility and ask, hey, how much is this process going to be? How much is an X-ray? How much is a certain procedure? They just can't give you a straight answer. It's really the only industry I can think of that is like that. The answer isn't more government, it's a free market.
Matt, so it sounds like you're in favor or you're opposed to Medicaid expansion regardless of what the situation is.
Yeah, that's a pretty fair way to put it. Now, let's look at what the situation is right now. You have a situation that's a huge headache that was created by government interference and government involvement. And, if you look at the VA system right there, they'll show you what the government involvement in healthcare is like. Anyone who can get out of the VA healthcare system will. And I don't want to see our, medical facilities here in Virginia being run like the VA. So I'm very much opposed to increased government expansion here. I'd like to see Congress go back to the drawing board and rework healthcare over completely to, again, get the government out of it and allow the free market principles to go in.
All right, there's going to be another move underfoot with COPN, the Certificate for Public Need. Some Republicans want to dismantle that. They say it's outdated. Hospitals don't need it. It's restrictive of competition. The other side of the view is from the hospitals is that would decapitate rural hospitals, because if you get rid of COPN and just open it up to the free market, so to speak, that care companies would come in areas in proximity to rural hospitals and pick off the most profitable services they have and undercut their prices. But this is an evenly split debate. How do you stand on COPN? Are you for continuing it or dismantling it?
I'm not too familiar with COPN. My background is as both an educator and attorneys in public safety and homeland security, much more so than healthcare. Although, my father's a physician, my wife's a physical therapist. So again, that's another issue that for healthcare I need to brush up on more. That being said, I'm going to just reaffirm that, my general philosophy is anything the government does, it tends to do pretty poorly. So I'd rather see private industries get involved. I'd like to see some competition in the marketplace. So anything that will be promoting competition in the marketplace, more options for consumers, better information, that's what the path we should go down.
Okay, Senator Wagner from Virginia Beach, Republican chairman of the Commerce and Energy Commission, also a candidate for governor, has called for a gasoline tax increase in order to rebuild Virginia's crumbling infrastructure in lieu of tolls or private partnerships where you're paying these bonds over a very long period of time at a much higher interest. Right now, gasoline taxes don't have a floor, they have a percentage. So when the gas price goes down, the revenue goes down. Are you in favor of Wagner's plan to put a gas tax floor in?
No, I understand why he's proposing it, but as President Trump has pointed out, this is one of the slowest economic recoveries ever. And if you increase the tax on gasoline, that's going to slow the entire economy. So rather than raising taxes on Virginians, I'd rather find ways to cut government waste. Now, God knows that we need improvements in our infrastructure. You drive on the roads in Virginia, there's always a mess, there's a lot of problems. But when you go through, driving through a construction site and you see 2 people working and 20 people having a coffee break, I think there's plenty of places where we could trim the fat and be much more efficient to improve our roads and infrastructures without raising taxes.
All right, so you're not in favor of that. There's another movement underfoot in Virginia, especially with some of the road expansions we need. We had the transportation tax compromise, as you know, Matt, in 2013, but that was only a fraction of really what Virginia needs in order to solve its infrastructure and congestion problems, especially in Southeast Virginia and Nova. Right? If you've ever tried to go on a Friday night, either way, it's a mess.
And God knows they need help.
So there's one school of thought that's percolating its way up now that the General Assembly is going to be involved in 2018, which is as we expand road lanes, should we put in hot lanes, which basically are lanes that are tolled with an easy pass that are restricted. Obviously, you have to have an easy pass. You have to pay whatever the toll is. Or should we find other sources of revenue and just make those available to anybody? How do you stand on that?
Well, again, that's just a question of what's going to be more practical and more efficient for reducing congestion. And for that, that's not really a right-wing or left-wing issue. That's just a question of what will be more efficient. I think it should be studied and looked at and just determine what will be the best way to alleviate traffic. It's not just do we do A or B. There's also options C, D, and E.
No, there's not. There's not. Matt, that's not
my own experience.
Matt, there is not.
I definitely pay more for those lanes.
Matt, there is not B, C, and D. Okay, if you want to build a road, there's only 2 options. You either get a tax from someplace, or you put a toll on it. That's it. I mean, to say that you're going to find money under the governor's mansion is ridiculous. I mean, you're either going to toll it or there's going to be a tax. So if you're in favor of relieving Virginia's congestion and solving its infrastructure woes, are you in favor of a tax to do that, or are you in favor of tolls?
Then I'd be in favor of a toll. I think it's fair that the people who are using it are the ones who pay for it.
Okay, that makes sense. Ed Gillespie, leading candidate for governor, Matt, introduced a 10% across-the-board personal Virginia income tax reduction. That would save an average Virginian with a family of 4 $1,300. And he says he can offset that because the economy would grow and so it would pay for it itself. If you're in the General Assembly in 2018 and Gillespie's governor, that's going to come up. How do you stand on that?
Oh, anything that will save Virginians, tax dollars. I'm all for that. Anything that reduces their tax burden, definitely want to go ahead with.
Now, there's been a lot of talk about the B-poll tax in Virginia in eliminating that. Are you in favor, and how might you do that?
I'm sorry, can you remind me, the B-poll tax is what that is?
That's basically the business tax. Like if you open up a business, you have to just pay a fee just because you happen to be there.
Okay, yes, I am in favor of eliminating that.
On everybody.
Again, I have my own business. My father had his own business. My grandfather even started a business here in Virginia. So anything that will help people start businesses, encourage entrepreneurs, I definitely think we should get behind and support.
Okay, there's been a lot of banter in Virginia about the balance between personal liberty and devices for law enforcement to be more effective. I had another candidate on. I'm going to bring this up. One of them has to do with scanning plates in a parking lot. This is one of those issues that it only comes up every so often when the bill happens to come up. But what we have in Virginia right now is police can go in to the Macy's Mall parking lot, scan the plates, run all of them, and decide if there's anybody there that they need to look at or talk to. Are you in favor of that, or do you think that is an infringement on personal liberty?
Well, again, this is something I teach in my class with law enforcement, and I can just tell, as a matter of enforcement principle, what you knowingly expose to the public, like your license plate, legally you have no expectation of privacy. That's why it's legal. Now, that's because it's legal doesn't mean it's right. And I see the increasing capabilities of law enforcement surveillance technologies. I think it's very chilling concerning for civil rights here in America. And that's why I really think we should be very aggressive about curbing these, whether it's these license plate scanning technologies, drones, and other forms of surveillance. Because, again, what used to be, police surveillance capabilities used to be very limited to just what you could do in person. Now it's so cheap and easy for them to become very invasive, whether it's drones, these technologies you're talking about. And we need aggressive legislation that will protect people's rights, protect people's expectations of privacy. And that includes these license plate scanners, which, again, I train law enforcement. I want law enforcement to stay safe. But with the rise of these technologies, we have to take measures to protect civil rights and civil liberties.
All right, Matt, we're out of time. I want to thank Republican candidate for House of Delegates, District 56, Matt Pinsker, for joining us today. That election will be determined in the Republican primary on June 13th. This is for the seat of the departing Peter Farrell. 6 candidates in this race, Matt Pinsker being one of them. Matt, what's your website?
Website is pinskerfordelegate.com.
Pinskerfordelegate.com. All right, Matt, thanks for being with us, and thank you for
having me.
Your candor. We'll have you back.